Ruthless Robbie Lawler versus Carlos Condit, the rematch. We all saw the first fight, guys, and we all wondered, is this going to be the greatest fight of all time? And when the bell finally rang and Robbie Lawler went out there in that 5th round to annihilate Carlos Condit and keep his title, we knew this was the greatest fight of all time. And we could only hope that the round wouldn't end and the 6th round would have come. But we all knew it was a 5-round fight. And when we finally heard the judges' scorecards, we were either in shock or we were just going bananas. It was a crazy fight, and it was the second one in a row. Robbie Lawler fought 2 of the craziest fights of all time. Now, if you had to go get, one of your friends into UFC and show them a fight, what would you show them? I would show them this. I think this was the most amazing thing that we've ever seen. True heart. This man is a Rocky. You have to really beat him and get him to that bloody state of mind where his mind isn't even there and his body just goes full force. Robbie Lawler is the modern rendition of Rocky. He really is. He's the modern version. We don't have a closer thing. And the great thing about Robbie Lawler is he's real. He's not a figment of your imagination. This guy is real. If you listen to Robbie Lawler talk, he keeps on saying the same thing. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. That's all this guy knows. This guy's got one thing on his mind. He's good at it, and he keeps on doing it. And that's really the point of life, guys. When you finally find your calling in life, you got to go out there and exploit it. And that's what Robbie Lawler is doing. Now, Carlos Condit went into that fight very calm, very collected, looking great, with a long rest. He had a long rest. Now, Carlos Condit's very experienced. There was no ring rust there. He won the first round. Actually wound up losing the second and third round. The third round on 2 judges' scorecards. He won the 4th. He lost the 5th. He lost the fight in a split decision. Robbie took it on 2 judges' scorecards. Condit took it on 1. I want to ask you guys, the fans, do you think that was a justifiable decision? Or do you feel like it was just outlandish and there was no way to justify that Carlos Condit, because he threw so many more strikes, and this was a stand-up war, landed more strikes, that he should have been granted the title? Now, when I watched the fight, I really thought that Robbie won rounds 2, 3, and 5. And when I went on the main media's websites and I heard what UFC thought, I was pretty happy. I thought that I judged the fight pretty well. So I was on the side of the 2 judges who scored it for Robbie. And the reason being is because he had so much power in the shots he landed in the 2nd and 3rd rounds and in that 5th round that he just stole those rounds. Now, in a second fight, guys, I want to ask you guys what you think. Carlos is a little younger. Robbie has went through wars. We saw that Carlos landed more shots. Now, I personally feel, and this is my breakdown, that if Carlos landed harder shots, in other words, really hit Robbie Lawler and stayed on him for just a split second longer while landing the shot, that he would have opened himself up, been less fast throwing the power shots, and he would have been more susceptible to the power shots of Robbie. Now, I question, is that the reason why he didn't throw those more powerful shots? But I really feel like Carlos dictated the pace in the fight. And I know Robbie has tremendous heart, but at some point, your body's not going to be able to carry out your will. Now, I think if Carlos goes out there and lands harder shots, hits Robbie harder and more, that he could win this fight. I will go with Carlos Condit winning the second fight, but he's got more ways to win here. If Robbie wins it, I wouldn't be surprised. But it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a war. Peace out, guys, and I love this.